So I was sitting here thinking to myself, man, the WWE 2K22 roster, that's going to be something else, isn't it? Today on the show, I want to go through and talk to you about what I think will be the WWE 2K22 roster, surrounding all of the recent releases and changes with it. And that episode for all of you is right now. So I gotta say, the roster itself, I'm not impressed. And this kind of goes for WWE TV itself. I went through WWE's website just now and started just perusing about who is like active stars on the roster, who do they have under legends, all of that stuff is sorted out. And I gotta tell you, those are thin rosters, my friend. Those are thin divisions. I'm not a fan. By the way, welcome to Assemble. I'm Mac. Good to see you. And if you are new to the channel, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. It's a good time. We talk video games, we talk nerdy stuff, and we talk about WWE 2K22 and how it's just upsetting all of our lives. Have you seen the tweets? Have you seen the posts from people? Good golly, people are getting all antsy in the pants about the game. No one's really happy. People are very upset. 2K reveals nothing. Zero. We might have to wait until, SummerSlam till we actually get something like a cover star. But I start to think that maybe 2K is panicking because Vince just keeps releasing people every hour, it feels like, or like there's rumors of someone leaving. At this point, 2K might need to have like 4 different cover stars ready to go because they might just have somebody gone. Just put John Cena on the cover. He's not going anywhere. Anyways, the roster. We obviously know the most recent round of releases coming off the heels of like Braun Strowman and Aleister Black exiting, Ruby Riott, that whole crop, right? That we had over there. Samoa Joe got let go. Samoa Joe came back because Triple H brought him back. But this is when I feel like this is a very interesting period right now because we have the likes of Ric Flair is no longer with the company due to creative differences. And from everything I have read, it seems like Flair wasn't happy with the direction his character was going, his on-screen character, how he was being utilized. So they parted ways and everything was cool. The Fiend Bray Wyatt was released just a few days ago, and we covered that on the channel too, which was really baffling for being one of the top merchandise sellers in the company, and they decided to let him go. And now we have Adam Cole, baby, possibly being done. We know his contract, he's kind of on like a 30-day extension, basically, where he's trying to get through to the next NXT TakeOver right after SummerSlam. But it seems like Cole could be on the outs as well. So within the matter of a week, we got Bray Wyatt, Ric Flair, and we have Adam Cole in limbo right now, who is one of the most decorated top stars in NXT. Oh, by the way, we can't forget that we also have CM Punk and we have Bryan Danielson basically confirmed, almost confirmed for AEW. That's a lot of talent. A lot of talent that is gone, could be gone. What's interesting, and you tell me in the comments below, do you think that crop of talent, the latest round, will make it into the game or not? I'm very curious to see how it actually pans out. I think that Adam Cole will still be in the game because we are looking at this thing getting revealed at SummerSlam. They need to lock in the roster. They can't keep making changes if they are. I'm making an assumption that they are going in there every time Vince makes a move and has to delete Braun Strowman and delete the next guy and delete Big Show and delete Mark Henry and doing all of these changes based off what's happening with the organization. But we know from previous games over the years that at any point, we often, and some of you have said this in the previous episodes, we get the game and we get out-of-date arenas and we get out-of-date rosters, or, tag teams aren't formed and things like that. It's the nature of the industry. It's the nature of the games. And I think we accept it to a degree, right? Like, I think almost every year it feels like when the game gets released that the arenas are out of date and we're a year behind and they don't include the updated arenas. So we go into the custom creation suite and we download and build out the new damn arenas ourselves. It's exhausting, isn't it? But I wonder how thin this roster is actually going to be this year. 2K20 had 238 roster members, wrestlers in the game. That's pretty big and it's pretty impressive. And I get it that the rosters it is what it is when people release. But do you think Cole will make it into the game or not? Assuming that he is actually released or exits. And what's funny with Ric Flair is Flair was in the dev diaries with Booker T when they just did his motion captures, facial capture, and animations are all done. So they literally used him in the footage, and I understand they can't anticipate when someone gets released and then they do a commercial or something like that. It's just bad timing. it's happenstance. So I think that Flair would be in the game as his motion capture is literally done, and having the likes of him in the game, I think Adam Cole as well, and borderline up until the last round of releases we saw, where we did see big names like Braun Strowman being gone. I feel that that might be the cutoff of when they would have like said, okay, we cannot adjust the rosters anymore. We're only a matter of 2-3 months away from releasing this thing, let alone revealing it with the roster. So they're going to have to go with what they've got at some point and pull the trigger on this and make it a lock. Could they go in and patch and update the roster right before? Potentially, if you're just trying to remove stars, they could do that. But I don't know. I'm not a game developer. I do not know how hard that is to actually remove them from the game. It'd be interesting to know. And the big one for me being Bray Wyatt. Not having the Fiend in there with presumably all of his motion capture scans, everything done, ready to go like they had in 2K20. To not have him in the game would be a giant bummer. But I'm more so curious what you all think of what this roster size is going to look like. And as you can see on like with the footage we captured here, looking at WWE.com and their roster, you have all of the current champions out there. But as we look through the Raw roster, it's not that big. And sure, we have stars like Booker T and Brock Lesnar in there, and we've got a little bit of a tag division. None of these stars are surprising that, you know, they would be in the game. Jason Jordan being an active wrestler in the game, I don't think that will happen. We obviously take out all of the announcers in there. Mason T-Bar and all of that might make it in the game, might not. But like Nikki Ash, for example, her character, with her rebrand and updated character and everything going for the superhero, I wonder if that's even going to make it. Wasn't it in 2K20 that we didn't even get Nikki Cross in the game? It was baffling. We had to create her. Now you have a new character in Nikki Ash, or ASH. Is that going to even make it into the game? And when they've had such a long development cycle now to really try and get this right and do a lot more things better, I wonder what the end result of this game is going to be and how much of the roster is going to impact the enjoyment factor of this game if the roster is too thin. It may not be, but even with not having updated attires and things, this is where I feel like 2K struggles, because you are dealing with live entertainment, live sports and things like that, where the rosters change, stars change, and because they're all contracted, they're in and out quite often. And it results in us getting an out-of-date product before it even hits the shelves. So I think with that, it can really like lose its shine and luster when you don't have the right amount of stars on there. It looks thin and it doesn't carry as well. And I think that can put a detriment to the game. But if the core gameplay is solid and they can hit those check marks and give us, you know, whatever special mode it is, if it's universe, GM mode, what have you, if those things are, they crank it out of the park, I think fans a lot of the time can actually try to adapt and say, okay, well, we'll download the superstar, we'll do the creation, maybe it will be future downloaded content from 2K, who knows? And I don't know if it's just me, but I look at the SmackDown side of things and I just feel like it's even more bare bones than that of Raw, where if you go through a lot of the talent, there's nothing really huge that's going to stand out. You might get Commander Aziz in the game. You will likely get Dominic Mysterio. They still have Maurice in there as an active superstar, which she is not, but she's with The Miz, so she'll probably be in there. They even still have Paige on the website, who has not been with WWE, and his status is just like she's not there. So like, is Paige going to be in the game? We don't even really know. And we get Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox that got called up, Toni Storm, they will likely be in the games. Zelina Vega was let go and then brought back. So once again, when you take out like all of the management and figureheads that they have in just WWE's website, the roster is so much smaller on SmackDown. So I feel like they're really going to have to pad things out when we take a look at the actual Hall of Fame side of things. And I think you do need to fill up a lot of this roster, if they haven't already, with legend stars, with NWO and DX and a lot of Attitude Era, but you're going to really have to fill this out because the current active roster is very thin. And this is a larger issue with WWE as a whole right now, let alone the video game. But is it a problem? Is it a problem for you? And that's usually what I want to ask is, do you think that if this roster is so small, is it going to really be a detriment to the game and the overall experience for you? Or are you more going to be looking at the gameplay is solid, assuming it is, and if it has good, strong game modes like a universe mode or a GM mode that's up to date, and that draws you in, and the creation suite works well, is that enough to keep you interested in this game? Or are you going to rely really heavily on the roster to help you make those decisions? Because if a lot of stars that you enjoy and you're fans of are not in the game, then I wonder how much this is really going to hurt 2K22 once it gets to release time. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the roster, where we're at. What do you think is the magic cutoff point for 2K when they go through this whole roster and when they actually kind of sign off on who's going to be the final cuts within this thing? I think removing people from the roster is probably a hell of a lot easier than having to do full scans, animations, and everything for somebody newer that they want to be able to bring in. But at this point, WWE isn't bringing anybody else in that is new and captivating. It's still the existing roster that we've seen in previous years, but now it's probably going to be shrunken down even more. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'm Matt here on Assemble. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoy this episode talking all things WWE 2K22, and I will see you on the next episode. See ya!